What up? Welcome back to Rethink.
Yep, episode 13.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, we're like old school now.
We are. Yeah, this is a veteran podcast.
Long time.
A long time. Yeah.
Remember back when we started?
Yeah.
In that tiny
little room.
Now we got dead crap hanging on the wall.
Big room.
Yep.
Yeah. Like professional setup.
Where's your wiener sticker?
I forgot my computer. But you said wiener. We were 30 seconds in and you're on it. That's good. You're on. I need to just like think through what I say most of the time.
Oh, in so many ways, Cole.
So many ways, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe what you wear. What the hell do you have on?
It's the turnover chain. Miami turnover chain. Greatest college football team of all time. And they have a sick turnover chain shirt. I have the old shirt and the new shirt. So this is just style.
I don't have either one of those shirts.
Do you want one?
Never in a million
Maybe one
years.
time we could each wear one when they win the national championship this year. You're starting to dress like me, so it's all coming into...
What are you talking about?
Well, over the weekend, you posted videos wearing a flat bill hat, which was great. You took the sticker off?
It was a new Colorado Rockies hat for the Colorado Rockies game, which I just want to say again, Nolan, I was up there 23 rows. I was right behind John Elway.
Where you? Did you say hi to him?
And Deal and Doug.
Deal and Doug's always there.
Yeah. But no, I was like, Nolan, it's my birthday. And you know, he didn't give me a God bless or anything.
Unbelievable. He was probably just focused on the game, but thinking about you.
Well, apparently nobody was focused on the game since we got swept.
It was brutal.
Brutal.
I hate the Dodgers.
We all hate the Dodgers.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah, them in Miami.
No, Miami's good. Miami's cool. Just classy individuals, just all around.
Yeah.
Miami baseball and Miami football is what I like.
So it wasn't a flat bill hat. I bought it at Dick's. It's just kind of like Wieners.
Kind of like Wieners. Wieners, sporting goods.
We were talking about this, about the misleading websites.
Web domains, yeah.
Yeah, so when Jordan was in middle school, I'm bringing it back up.
You have to. You said you weren't going to. Here we are.
And Jordan was in middle school. He and his friend Patrick Garcia, who's a pastor in Indiana now. Yeah. Hey, Patrick. They were looking for BB guns online, and so they wanted to go to Dick's Sporting Goods. Yep. And they didn't do Dick's Sporting Goods. They just did Dick's.com. It's
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Not good.
And then they came running in. They're like sixth graders. They ran into our bedroom like, so we were looking for BB guns, and so we went to Dick's.com, and it's bad. And so I went, okay. And so I think we were at AOL.com.
Yeah,
like
AOL was great.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah,
were you born then?
I was then. Yeah, I was alive then. I had some sick usernames.
So I went in there, and they do not sell sporting goods there.
They don't.
Not at all. And
things that shoot though.
No, you can't.
Remember that whole like thinking thing?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought that hat. And then I did what my friend James Henderson down in Mexico told me. You take the hat off. This is a new hat. Yeti hat. All right. Hey, Yeti.
Yeti. Sponsors.
I love Yeti. And I put it in a coffee cup overnight with the bill.
Yeah.
Bent.
Yeah, I used to do that back when I bent my hats, but that was so 1997.
Is that a new hat?
No, I've had it for a while.
Yeah. It still looks kind of flat.
It's supposed to stay that way. But then also...
So you got your sticker up there.
Yeah, you have to have the sticker on
What's
there.
the point of the sticker?
Well, if you have a sticker underneath and sticker up top, you can touch it and you don't get dirt on your bill, but also just for looks. Like so it's only these hats that I keep the sticker on. 5950 New Era hats. If the sticker comes off, I actually don't wear them anymore, just as a matter of principle.
It would be so sad if you restuck a sticker.
Oh, well, they don't stick good again. So that's the problem. So I've tried to restick them. I've tried to like glue them on. Like it just doesn't work. So
that's frugal.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, then I just get rid of them and get a new one now. So
I just buy a whole new hat because the sticker falls off.
Yeah, it's not worth it at that point. But and then you're also wearing skinny sweats now.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, what were those?
They
just tighter sweats.
Oh, it's because my thighs are blowing up.
Yeah, just leg day, classic pump,
twice a week.
H-fall. Yeah. Well, let's get into this. We've had a lot of wisdom we've spoken so far. So far has been good.
Websites not to visit.
Do not visit those or any websites similar to that. It's good wisdom right there.
Yep.
This weekend, there were some new people that came and they heard a money talk and actually wanted to stay. So we wanted to kind of dive into that on what we could lean into more. Usually when you come to church and you hear money talk, you're being begged for money and we need it and it's the only way we function type thing. But that wasn't what they heard this weekend.
Nope.
So with that, dive into a little bit, just kind of give you a glimpse, like a 2-minute glimpse of what you talked about this weekend, but then we can dive into like what it looks like to actually rethink what we're doing with our money.
Yeah. So I always, I never taught on money at all. And then when I came to Flatirons, we've been here about a year and a half, and then we had to plunge into a building campaign. I was way out of my element. That was always what like the adults. I was a youth pastor, and all the adults had to worry about the money, and I just want to spend it.
Yeah.
You know? And now I had to take a look at it and then look at my own personal finances. But probably my favorite teacher on when it comes to money is a guy named Bob Russell, who was my senior pastor back in Louisville. And I remember one time he said, "Hey Jim, do you know what goes up every time I teach on money?" And I thought, offering.
Money.
And he said, "No, baptisms." I'm like, huh? He goes, "If you trust God with your money, you trust him with everything." This wasn't really, anytime you have a money talk, it's really not about money, it's a faith talk. Mm-hmm. And that's what this whole series has been about, priorities. Like, so what's the lead domino in your life to go, this is what's going to take care of me. And then once you get that in place, I think that God's will for your life or God's plan for your life, it widens out a lot as long as that lead domino is in place. And that is the guardrail against all kinds of greed. As long as I'm going to prioritize what Jesus says is important, then the rest of it is pretty much do what you want. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's an overstatement, right. But I think what so many times we're concentrating on all the other stuff. Is that right? Is that wrong? Is that right? And then you kind of look back over your shoulder and go, Jesus, what do you want to speak into that? As opposed to pursuing what Jesus wants. And that's just that's a really countercultural thing. I was studying for actually next week, and the next part is all about worry. Mm-hmm. And worry is really, how do I say this? It really exposes what you're holding on to and not surrender to God. And either surrender to God because you don't want, you don't trust God, or you know what God's going to say and you don't want to let go of it.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at all the things in my life that really, money, when anybody talks to me about money, it's the thing I get most defensive about.
Why is that?
Because I have a lot of guilt and shame about the way I've handled money in my past. And then it just basically calls out that I'm a really selfish person when it comes to my stuff for me and me first. Mm-hmm. And it exposes it, you know, because, you know, your level of generosity is your willingness to say, oh, of course I've thrown money at that because that's really important to God. My hesitancy is, it may be important to God, it's just not important to me. Mm-hmm. And somebody else is going to do that. And then I have conversations in my head and go, I'm going to do something different. And by that, I mean, other than what God wants to do. And that's not guilt or pressure, because I don't think there's only one place in the Bible I ever find Jesus say, go sell all your stuff, give to the poor and follow me. He just told that one guy that because there was something going on with that one guy. He's not telling me to go sell all my stuff, and he's not telling me to give 90% away and live on 10% or 50% or whatever that is. But I promise you, if if you carve out a percentage on the front end that says, okay, before I even look at what I'm going to do, I take for Rob and I, it's like 12% or something like that. I don't know. It's no less than 10. So when we were figuring out how we're going to pay for, like, I want to remodel my basement. Mm-hmm. So I don't ever contemplate going, if I just got that 10% back, man, we could finish it out fast. Or if I want to upgrade my truck, or if we want to go on vacation, it's our 35th anniversary this summer. We're trying to plan that out. And it's not like, well, let's not tithe and do that. So that means I automatically have a guardrail or I have, what's the right word? Margin. Mm-hmm. I have margin carved into my life that says, and it's a choice margin. Mm-hmm. I've lived most of my life, I don't have a margin, but it's not my choice. Right. Because I'm paying late bills and late charges and debt and all that. And that's a really stressful way to live. I know when I'm stressed out, and money's my biggest stressor, and traffic is my biggest tell. Right. Like, I'm like cussing, right, and honking. And
it's a sideways tail.
Right, because anger by definition, or frustration, is I want something and you're in the way of it, right? That's the definition of anger, is I want it, you can't have it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at all these things that I got to do and I can't have it. And that stupid little Subaru is usually a Subaru. Hypothetically, not always.
Just 99%.
Yeah, not all Subaru drivers are horrible, people.
Well, Robin's one now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
not by choice though.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think God is just laughing at me because I'm always slamming Subarus, and it's the most popular car in Colorado. Yeah. So therefore, the percentage-wise, if all the bad drivers are spread over all the cars, then the most bad drivers are in a Subaru. They just always get in front of me, and I want to shove them in a river.
Right.
Now, I'm going to pray through that someday.
Sure, someday. Not now, though.
No, yeah. So our friend Tina was driving Robin's car the other day and almost died. This semi ran a red light and smacked the back end of it, and it's in the shop. And so then our friend Chris, when we have a rental, we can rent a car or something like that. I don't know what you can rent for $50
Not much.
Yeah, maybe a smart car.
Yeah.
Maybe a recumbent bike.
Yeah, a Vespa would be cool. I want a Vespa. We can talk about that later. Sorry, keep going.
Okay.
How sick would I look on a Vespa?
It's just more time I spend with you, the more disappointed I am.
That's how that works usually. Yeah.
Isn't that your shadow?
I can keep up a mask for a while. And then
yeah. Anyway, my friend Chris said, don't bring a car. I've got a couple extra cars, and the extra car he had was a Subaru.
What other extra cars could he have let her use?
A truck.
Or a Tesla.
No, that's his car. That's not.
He could have let her, though, out of the goodness of his heart.
It's too big.
So
Robin runs a RAV4, and she goes, I don't want anything big. And she won't drive my truck. She's driven my truck through a gate one time. She's driven my truck. It has 109,000 miles on it. She's driven it 17 feet.
That's perfect.
Oh, right. Anyway, so God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about anger coming out sideways.
Anger comes out, yeah. And so why when we talk about money does it bring up so much emotion? And the truth is that money is the currency of our life. Everything runs on money. And it's the biggest, it's absolutely objective. You can look at it and go, I have this many dollars, and I can point them any direction I want. And then you look at your bank ledger or your printout or your phone or whatever that is, and you go, I pointed this that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. And then where's the God? And you go, page 27.
Right.
Right. And it just exposes it. None of us like to look at that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. The only reason I started tithing is I accidentally told Robin I wasn't, and she was like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!"
Yep.
Right. It's one of the greatest turnaround days in our marriage and in our finances, because earlier that year I had called on Highway 7, ironically.
Yeah. Weird how that works. Yeah.
I called Nelnet, the big college loan place, and said, "Hey, I need to borrow one more semester to finish out my daughter's college." And they went, "Mr. Burgen, you are tapped out." And so I went home, dug through a drawer, and found an old Discover card.
Yep.
That's 33% interest.
Yep.
And went to the bank and got a $9,000 cash advance on a 30% interest card. And
the worst.
It is the worst. And you feel a lot of shame and embarrassment because you feel stupid.
Yep.
You also feel desperate. In my mind, it was like, well, what kind of douchebag dad?
Yeah.
Can I say that?
You can. Yeah.
D-bag.
Douchebag works.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
It's not.
I'm trying to be more culturally sensitive.
Good for you.
Like I don't make my doll jokes anymore.
You don't?
When I get emotional.
Yeah. Which is really just more sideways stuff if you're trying to cover up more emotions. Yeah.
I just think my T levels are high and they produce estrogen and then I cry.
Works. Yeah.
Oh,
that's basic science.
That's science. I cry at puppy movies, and any commercial that has one of those soldiers coming home.
Yeah. Oh, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be a really, really. Yeah, it's because I talked about our dad.
Yeah, my
dad passed away, and then you were going. I didn't know that.
It's okay. It's been like a month-long thing.
Yeah,
we can talk about that later.
I just got an email from Fresh Start Dentistry. It's about this thing I have, and I'm like, "Who's Fresh Start Dentistry?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the worst.
It's Doc Willard.
It's the worst. Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to go there. I feel like I'm betraying him.
No, he wants you to go. He would have wanted you to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go there tomorrow. Yeah. It's just sad.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah, it's good though.
It's good.
Yeah.
Because Jesus rose from the dead.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you wrecked me this weekend with that. Yeah. That end part.
That wasn't in my notes. I just threw that in.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's hope.
Yeah, it is.
But it's still real tender, right?
Yeah, super tender.
So I think that nobody wants to talk about money because money is an objective way to go. This is what your heart is pointed to.
Yeah.
I love it when Jesus says, your treasure and your heart. So your heart is your will.
Yep.
Right? That's the king.
Yep.
And I point my heart. I choose what I treasure.
Right.
And that's convicting. You can say, well, I can't help it, or I can't do this, right? I really could. I thought I'm treasuring my daughter. How can I not?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Okay. But I think that in the moment, so you have to make a lot of decisions way out front. And that's, none of us do that anymore. We're always just reacting. And so the most important thing I could have done is prepared for that moment or, I mean, that's the wisest thing to do. Prepare for a moment down the road, as opposed to, I haven't saved up a dime and now my daughter's in her senior year of high school and she wants to go to this school and blah, 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 blah. And then you just go borrow money left and right. And some of us, that's all we know that we can do. But we have to, so no judgment and no condemnation about the way we've done it in the past. But if you always want to be stressed out about money, then just keep doing what you're doing. But maybe you need to start rethinking some things and treasuring some things, because there's other ways to go about it. But I point my will at things that are important. My daughter's important, all right? My wife's important. My family's important. Jesus is important. And it all gets so screwy up there, because finally you just have to go. And usually it's when you got bankruptcy, you got fired, or you're about to lose everything. And then you have to sit down and go, okay, now I'm ready to listen. Yeah. And so, it took 6 years to dig out. You're in that process right now, right?
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, because you were saying, because you have a new baby at home, and of course, not all, but some moms want to stay home, and some moms want to work, but no mom wants to have to work.
Right.
Right.
And Taylor has to right now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. And so as we try to figure that out, we're looking at like, okay, we have this much that we have to chip away at. How do we still live our life? How do we still live within our means without adding more debt to that, but taking out huge chunks of that as well?
Yeah.
So we're on a 3-year track to get rid of that.
I like what you mentioned too. It's like you have to live.
Yeah.
All right. And that's one of the things that when Michael sat down with me, my finances, he put in fun money. And like in your mind, you think we're going to eat beans and rice. Right. And probably live in a tent community.
Right.
And not ever go to a movie or never have, something nice to drink and it's not that at all. But like, so you have a budget, and I don't know what plan you're using, but like we use the whole snowball thing.
Yeah. The avalanche.
Yeah. And so we did that, but like you got some new ink, and so you figured in going, the only time I get ink, it doesn't impact my budget, is if I have some outside money, we have an agreement, Taylor and I, that I can put it towards debt, or I can do it. And I'm sure she has some stuff she likes to do too,
for sure. Yeah. And for each, so I do weddings. And so that's how I make outside money. And for every wedding that I do, for every 2 weddings that I do, half of that can go to tattoo money, half of that goes to debt.
Oh, that's cool.
So we chunk out each one where it's like, I'm choosing to eliminate debt while also choosing to chase after what I want. Right. But I don't get to put our normal budget in check because of what I want. Right. I have to stick. I get $30 a month for fun money to spend. However, usually I spend it on Taco Bell, but Taylor gets fun money to spend on like makeup and stuff like that. Makeup and clothes is what she usually spends it on. But we can't branch outside of that.
Did you pay money for that shirt?
Taylor actually bought this for me.
That doesn't count.
Oh, it does count. This is a choice.
Like a Christmas present, maybe?
No, it was actually it was when I became a campus pastor. She was like, here. There's a gift to celebrate. Yeah. Because it's sick, man. This is just high fashion.
Is that?
Yeah.
Boot Barn.
Boot Barn. They wouldn't sell the turnover chain. Oh. If they had the shirt with pearl snaps on it, would you wear it?
Nope.
I figured, yeah. 2 things that I want to talk about with the money stuff. So you say this from stage. You made poor decisions with money.
I made poor decisions. This is a big rationalization. Right. From a really good place in my heart, most of them. You know?
Absolutely.
And that's why I don't want to throw change or shame. Change. Yeah. See, that you messed me up. Yeah. I don't want to throw stones or shame at anyone. So John C., you're getting married here eventually. You should take notes on all this.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Okay? Because, I think you already had to go sell yourself on Colfax to buy that diamond. Well,
pretty close.
Pretty really close. The next street down.
Like concessions. What were you thinking?
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking. There's some really good Mexican restaurants on there that he worked at on Colfax.
I think he looks more Middle Eastern.
Oh, I wasn't talking about his race.
I'm
was
Puerto
on
Rican,
Colfax. Yeah.
So.
Oh, there you go. There's a lot of good Mexican restaurants on Colfax. Like right by Children's.
Pronounce your last name.
Cartagena.
That's cartel, man. You killed my father. Prepare to die. It just goes.
Yeah, it works.
How many fingers do you have?
Of all of them.
For now.
Yeah, but didn't that guy on Princess Bride have 6?
I think so.
Yeah, funky glove.
Yeah.
Okay, go back.
So you made choices that were good decisions. They just put you in debt, and then there's this ripple effect from it.
They weren't good decisions. They were unwise decisions that
They were reactive.
So let me go. Ben had a great quote, right? I was looking for some really good stuff in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, right. How have you seen in those really bad decisions, because I'm thinking through your life since making these decisions, how has God redeemed that? How has God taken those poor decisions? In the moment, you're not thinking, wow, God's really going to redeem this. And that can't even justify the bad decision in the first place. But looking back on it now, you lump a lot of shame on yourself. Mm. Where has God redeemed those choices and the things that came out of those?
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good question. One is I do not take, let me say this. I think that it's helped me not to take what I do have for granted. Mm-hmm. Like I carried a lot of baggage. I actually grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought that we ate spaghetti and Chinese food and Mexican food because we were international. Come to find out, you can feed a whole family for $1.50.
Yeah,
you know, we were poor. Yeah. You know, and so I always held people that had money as I don't belong with you, and you've already told me stay on my side of the tracks, and so that's made me shy away from like dealing with people. And it's my shadow. I threw it at people. So like I had lunch with a guy who has quite a bit of money, and he says, Jim, we sit at Flatirons, and it feels like you only talk to the half of the room, the poorer half of the room, and it makes us feel like we're not important. And I realized that my crap was actually a bias I had against them. All right. And there are people that love Jesus and have money and they want to be leveraged, but they're smart. They want to leverage it in the right way. And that's why I said yes.
That's probably why they have all that money.
Well, you know, I think one of my favorite things I said this past weekend was, you know, Flatirons is doing fine. We don't need your money. God's not wringing his hands going, oh no, you know, if Cole would just give 10 more bucks in a blue buck, you know, right. He's not wringing. You need to give so you're not a greedy person. But I'm like, so we feel like, you know, we go to Flatirons, we get fed here at Flatirons, but, you know, we've always gone to this one church and it's really dying, but that's where, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what other investment would you say I'm going to throw 10% of my money in a hole or a pit that I'm not going to see any return? It's just, I don't know. I feel some loyalty. I mean, you would not be in business if you did that. Yeah. I would go find out God is doing, Bono again. You know, if you want, don't ask God to bless your stuff. Find out what God's already doing and join him there. It's already blessed. So I love what Flatirons is doing here. Mm-hmm. Don't throw your money at something you don't trust or believe in. Mm-hmm. If it has vision and it aligns with your vision that's given to you by God, then go do that. And so it's given me clarity about, I don't apologize whatsoever to teach about money because I handled money so poorly and it stole so many years of my life. Mm-hmm. I bet I would have lived to 80. I bet if I die when I'm 70, it's because of what the stress did to my life for all those times. And it damaged my relationship with my kids because the stress that had nothing to do with them.
But they got the brunt.
They got the brunt of it. And I went to anger management counseling once or twice. And they always said, Jim, you're a stuffer. You put it in a closet. Mm-hmm. I now know that shadow. Mm-hmm. All right. The thing is that when Jordo or Allie were a little kid and they would do the most simple thing, they were just that straw that broke that closet door and they got buried in an avalanche, you know, and I just devastated them. And so without apology, you need to get on a good strategy to not be a greedy person and not misspend money because it will own you. All right. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, I didn't get any good counseling. No, all right, so I always have to say this. I have to own my choices and my decisions and my sin.
Right.
I had some crappy things happen to me as a kid. It changed my way of thinking, and that led to sin. But it was my sin. I can't blame somebody else for my sin, all right? So my sin is my sin, all right? So I didn't get any good counseling in terms of taxes, in terms of investing, in terms of retirement. Mm-hmm. I mean, I literally cashed out a couple of retirements and bought new cars, which is 30% penalty, and then it's just embarrassing. Okay, I didn't understand health insurance. I didn't understand all that. So I always said this: if I could ever be in a place where I have some influence and some say over counseling and taking care of good young staff, I will. Mm-hmm. We just did a staff-wide survey, about the culture here, and the number one thing that our staff loves, and I love this, is that you take care of us when it comes to benefits, and that's health insurance.
Yeah.
And even our health insurance guy goes, you guys are above and beyond, and we're pretty average on pay, but we're off the charts on going because I've got a bunch of young staff having a bunch of babies. Mm-hmm. I got a bunch of people with need to be on head meds because the whole world's on head meds, and I got a bunch of people on counseling, doing counseling because I got a whole generation coming up who's just been carrying their wounds, and we're a culture that goes, I want to talk about that, and it gets better. So we try to take care of people as best we can in terms of salary and bonus and recognition. We know that we need to pour more into development. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to listen to young staff and see what their needs are. Mm-hmm. But I remember being out there on my own and didn't even know the right questions to ask, and so I always said, if I could ever be in a place where I could take good care of young staff like you, mm-hmm. Taylor, right? Then I'm going to do my best to do that. Now, I can't always do everything I want to do, and I have to be really, really good steward of all the resources here. But I promise, taking care of a young staff person and developing them into a great staff person is the most efficient and cost-efficient way, as opposed to, sorry, you're out. Now I got to go search and find another one. And it slows everything down, and then it's just a bad policy. So first of all, I appreciate what God's given me. I'm in a place right now where I never thought that I would be, mm-hmm. And I leverage that. So, I have this little cabin up in the mountains, but like all the campus pastors are going up there, and we're just going to spend the day, talking and planning and praying and casting vision. And I when I built it, I doubled the size of the front porch, and I bought 4 Cracker Barrel rocking chairs. Yeah. And you sat on that porch, and we talk about stuff. We're going to talk about your dad stuff. We're going to talk about marriage stuff. We're going to talk about dad stuff. We're talking about money stuff. I've talked to really super successful businessmen up there, and finally I've gone, do you even think you're saved? No. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And here's a guy going, God shouldn't save me. He's grown up a Christian
my whole life,
Well, yeah. But you feel like
for sure,
right?
For sure.
And then all the shadows coming in, and the accuser, right, starts putting his finger in your chest. So like I always say that whenever the elders say, "Thanks for your time, Jim," go. Mm-hmm. I'll be sitting on that cabin porch, but I won't be by myself. Mm-hmm. Looking at my empire or something like that. Yeah. I'll be sitting there probably with a young guy like you. Yeah. Or he's probably in middle school, high school right now, and he'll be on staff someday with us, and he'll look up and go, I don't know what to do. And the best way I can coach is, well, let me tell you all the things I did wrong. Yeah. And then maybe, we
can not do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If it was that country song, if I want to be wise and old, I got to be young and crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me wise and old at this point from
you're still
previous choices. But it's interesting to think through, like, I have one more question, but like you go through all that in order to teach thousands and thousands of people all this type of stuff from what you learned, but also you go through all that, gets Allie to Tennessee to meet Ben, to bring Ben, like it all comes full circle. It's really interesting to think through.
Here's probably the most convicting part is when I remember we were watching TV and I looked over and I said, hey babe, we need to get back to tithing. And she looked at me and said, what do you mean back? And this is the man part, mm-hmm. is like, buddy, the responsibility lands on my desk. All right. I don't care, man, if you're married to a woman who makes 10 times more than you, the spiritual leadership of your home is to make sure that first things are taken care of first. Mm-hmm. And there are people that are depending on us. Yeah. I'm not saying you're I'm not saying you're smarter than your wife. I'm not saying you're more spiritual than your wife. I'm saying a responsibility for you and Taylor, right, mm-hmm. is yours. Right. To go, I want to make sure that our house is in order. Now, Taylor's pretty strong. Yep. So if you screw this up,
she'll step in instantly.
She'll step in because women are survivors. Yeah. Right. And they fill in that gap, and then when you want to step back into it, they're like, dude, you abdicated. Yeah. I'm not going to turn the keys back over to this, have you drive it into another ditch. Yeah. Which is understandable. So the last thing I want any man to do is hang up this podcast and then go to his wife going, I'm taking the reins back to everything. Yep. No, you're not.
Doesn't work well.
You've driven us in a ditch 12 times and you're on your 14th job in 10 months, right? It's like, no. You're gonna get some stuff figured out spiritually, and then you're gonna step back into that, and you're gonna do that with your family. But the responsibility is still yours. And that was the biggest, crappiest moment going, Robin thought and was dependent upon me to lead our home, right? Because every time I bring up that story, my daughter Allison has a bunch of guilt about how much college cost. And that's not hers to carry.
Yeah.
That's my lack of preparation. And so again, I really am not throwing stones at any, man or woman out there who is in a ditch, because I have been there and we got here for a reason. But the only way we're going to get out of the ditch is from now on.
Yep.
I have to reprioritize some things. And what I've told myself is, I work for a church, and so I could be making a lot more money somewhere else. And so the gap between what I'm making and what I could make, that's my gift to the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's bull.
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't, I pray a lot and I volunteer a lot. Okay, go tell Discover Card or Visa Card that I'm going to volunteer and pray for you.
Yeah.
And they're going to go, no, we're going to cut your heat off and your credit's going to go through the toilet, right? It's the same thing. This place doesn't run on Jesus fairy dust. And, right, your life, the currency of your life is where you point your money. Mm-hmm. And where you point your money determines what's important. Yeah. And so you have to start moving towards that, prioritizing God. I'm not, let's say I'm going to say 100,000 just because it's easier math.
Yeah.
If you're in deep debt and you make $100,000 a year, I'm certainly not saying that you start this Tuesday with $10,000. You'll go bankrupt.
Yeah.
But you have to do something.
Yeah. Take one step. Take one percentage step. Whatever.
I remember my friend Adam was talking to Michael Caine about tithing, and he asked Adam, like, what do you give? And he goes, well, I don't know. When I walk out, I reach in my pocket. If there's a 20, I throw a 20 in something. He goes, oh, so you tip God? What? You just tip God. You give him spare change.
Whatever's there.
Hey, good service. There you go.
Yeah.
There's $20. And it's like, that's, again, if you take God out of anything and put in Taylor, put in your kids, put in your best friend, whatever, and going, hey, listen, if I have any left over, I'll throw a buck or two in your bucket. They would look like, don't bother. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But we sure do want God to keep it all coming our way.
That's how that works.
Which is like, we don't buy God's favor. We don't invest in the kingdom, and that buys God's favor to take care of us. Mm-hmm. It's faith. When I put money towards what God does, that's an act of faith. And my faith now is something I can draw from when life is really, really, really hard. It's not the money. Whoever those lying pastors are, did I say bastard or pastor?
I think
in this case it's
bastards.
Both. Yeah. Is that the guy who says you give $10 and God will send $100 check in the mail? Man, that is not in the Bible. If it is, then God has a lot of people to apologize for. Yeah. Because there's a whole list of people that they're much more faithful than I am, and they got slaughtered. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so you have to take a step in that direction of faith and prioritizing God in faith. So if you're not giving anything, give 1%, 2%, 3%. I remember a couple of years ago, somebody brought this up to me going, I remember one time you said the average gift around here is a burrito from Chipotle, $8. Mm-hmm. $8 a person, right? So what people are communicating is, oh, Pastor Jim, this place has changed my life and my marriage. My son is here, and my kids are here, and I'm bringing my parents, and it's just changed our whole family. It's worth a burrito. And I'm like, okay, all right, because Chipotle won't even let you out the door. Yep. Going, well, burrito wasn't really, really good. Well, you still owe us $8. You don't owe flat irons anything, but you are making a statement of value and worth, and that's got to mean something. Yeah. And so you can say you have faith. James says, yeah, you say you have faith, I'll show you my faith by what I do. And again, we're not saved by we're not saved by works. We're saved by grace through faith. Mm-hmm. But faith does something. Yeah. Faith moves, faith gives, faith acts. Yeah. And my faith grew more than any other time in my life. Not when my dad got sick, not when we got married, not when I had babies. My faith grew when I started letting go of more dollars towards Jesus. And then I found out how faithful he really was. And it's hard. It's hard. And you'll never believe that until you try it.
Right.
I didn't.
For sure.
So
I want 2 more minutes. The Sermon on the Mount flows, right, from start to finish. So Jesus talks about money, and then he talks about worry. Why did he go in that order?
Because that is the whole question. Worry is, I don't trust. Mm-hmm. I don't trust God's going to take care of me, but I know what money can do for me. Mm-hmm. And, well, how much money do you need? And the answer is always a little bit more.
Always.
Right? Yeah. And so don't worry, because he goes on and says, so don't worry about this or that. Not because they're not important. He actually says, don't worry like the people who don't have any faith in God do. Mm-hmm. All right? So he also talks about, and we're going to talk about this week, look at the birds of the air. They don't, they don't sow or reap or store up in barns. Your Heavenly Father feeds them. So he didn't say don't work hard.
Right.
The birds work really, really, really hard,
yep.
right? And the same thing with flowers. I mean, the flowers of the field, look at them. Not even the greatest king in the world is clothed like one of these. And they only last about 3 months.
Yeah.
And so if God takes care of these things, the same God who raised Jesus from the dead, he's going to make sure you're okay. Mm-hmm. But if you believe that, then the worry goes down because you can go, listen, and this is what I'm going to talk about this week, is what you worry about actually reveals what you haven't surrendered to God. Mm-hmm. I mean, so here's the best illustration. If you want to get stuff back in perspective, I mean, you're a big, strong guy, mm-hmm. all right? You can probably bench 100 pounds.
At least 99.
Well, I mean, so you compare yourself to other people going, I can bench more pounds than most people, okay? Yeah. You want to figure out so your willpower did that, right?
Right.
All right? You're dedicated. You've done it.
That took time. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me put it back into perspective. Go push on a boulder. Mm-hmm. Or a mountain. That's Dallas Willard. Go push on a boulder, and all of a sudden you'll realize is that most of the universe doesn't respond to your willpower.
Yep.
I don't care how strong you think you are. You can't push a mountain over, right? The only thing mountains respond to is faith. Mm-hmm. You'll say to that mountain, move, and it'll be moved, right? So willpower or faith, right? And it just puts things back in perspective going, okay, so what do we worry about the most? Money, family.
Yeah.
We worry about our marriage. We worry about our kids. And I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard and do all you know to do, but there comes a point going, they're their own person. And I mean, I stood on stage and I went, here's your possible response. God's not telling me anything to do. Mm-hmm. He's telling me something specific, or he's telling me something specific, but I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And I already checked in with the person. I said, because we have a common person, we know that they're just absolutely just, and I looked right at her.
Yeah.
I said, was I too obvious? He goes, no. Because it's like, I know what God wants. I don't trust him, or I trust him. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it exposes it. And so worry reveals what you haven't surrendered.
Yeah.
And the reason you haven't surrendered is you don't trust him.
Yep.
So I'll grow to trust him, and then maybe I'll give him something. No, you put something in his way because you trust him. It's the reverse of that.
Yeah.
And watch your worry go down.
That's good.
Let me tell you this. The moment I sat down with Michael Caine, and this is the only advice I would give, is you got to get together with a financial counselor and make a plan. Mm-hmm. I dumped it all out there, $155,000 worth of envelopes.
Yeah.
And we made a plan. And I walked out of the office and my stress level went down.
Yeah.
And I hadn't paid off a dime yet.
Yeah.
But I had a plan.
That organization's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
It was a step of faith.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
See you next week.
All right. Bye.
Cool.
Thanks.